Everyone, my name is Nichole Bergeron, and I'm just here to tell you my story. This month, on July 17th, made 10 years it's been since my mother was murdered, and so I've been doing a lot of thinking, and reflecting, and I just feel the Lord telling me, I want you to tell your story again. And when I think about all that God has done for me and in me and through me, these past 10 years just is unbelievable, and I'm just in awe of what He's done in my life. So my story starts in South Louisiana. I grew up with my mom and dad and my two siblings, and growing up, my home was filled with sexual addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, physical and verbal abuse. Your days were really filled with hate and anger and screaming and fighting and cursing. Ever since I could remember, since I was a toddler up until I was 16. So naturally, growing up in a home like that, I definitely learned how to hate and how to react out of anger, and I had no idea of what parental love was, the way that God designed for a home. And I heard about God in public school, but I didn't believe that He was really involved in my life. I just believed that He made me more than I believed in evolution. So, I just thought that God was there, but He had more important things to do, and I definitely didn't feel like He was a part of my life and that He would show up and care for me. So I was mostly angry at God, and when I did talk to Him, I would scream and shout at Him in my heart, and ask Him, why would you give me parents like this? What did I do to deserve parents that hit each other, and why did I have to be abused and live in a home with such evil? That I didn't choose this life, and how unfair it was to grow up that way, and that He must, if He does love, then He must love other children way more than me. And I was definitely jealous of other students in school that seemed to have great parents and great family lives, and here I was in this dysfunctional home. I can remember just staying awake at night, probably up until 3 a.m. and just falling asleep just out of exhaustion, listening to my parents fight and scream, and sometimes we'd have to go and we'd hear banging or shattering, and I had to go and run into their room and pull them off of each other, even as a young child, having to pull my dad off of my mom, strangling her in the middle of the night, and I just felt always tired, and always like I was the one that had to protect my family from this evil man that I didn't even call my dad. I really, at that time, depended upon myself. I said to myself and to my brothers that, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like this. I'm not going to be addicted to drugs or alcohol, and I'm not going to hurt people, and I'm going to love people, and I'm not gonna live like this, and I'm gonna move far away from here, and you can come live with me and I'll take care of you. You know, we don't have to live like this. So I felt like, the world was on my shoulders, and that was the only hope I have of staying alive, to be with my brothers and help them to get out of that situation. I really am thankful for public school and friends and teachers there at school that did show me love, and that I had something to look forward to. I dreaded going home and being there and just being part of the evil there, and just the heaviness in my heart that I would feel, even as such a young child, having to go home and walk into the house, and there was pornography on the computer screens or the TV, and I would just trying to do my homework or get a snack, and there's just tons of evil things going on in that home that filled me with hate and anger, and I just really wanted to kill my father. And I can remember feeling like the only hope I had was to get out of that situation. When I grew up and could take care of myself, because it seemed like no one else wanted to take care of me, and I wasn't old enough to take care of myself and get a job. So I just held on to that and depended upon myself. So fast forward to when I was 16, on July 17th, 2010, my parents went to a party that night, and they arrived back at our house at about 2 a.m. and they were fighting and they were drunk, and it was just like another day to us. And whenever it was about 3 a.m., they decided they were going to leave again and go get some fast food, and that's the last time that I saw my mom. So my brothers and I didn't get any sleep that night, hardly, and we waited until the early morning, about 6 a.m. We started to really get worried, and because we hadn't seen our parents for a few hours. And I remember my dad coming just by himself back to our house, and he was all sweaty and muddy, and he was pretending like he didn't know where our mother was. And he went into his bedroom and just grabbed handfuls of clothes and just shoved them into the car, and grabbed a bunch of money, and said he didn't know where our mom was, that they were just driving around, and she got out of the car and just walked away, and decided to leave him and leave us. So he left with all those things, and my brothers and I, we just had no idea what to do. And he started calling, my brother started to call the place that my mom worked to see if they had seen her, if she was supposed to show up for work that day. We had one of my brother's friends drive us around town to see if we saw her walking on the side of the road somewhere, but we never did. And so about late afternoon that day, we filed a missing persons report for both of our parents, And the police officer asked if there's anywhere we could stay that night, and we were able to stay at one of my brother's friends' houses until my mom's brother could come and pick us up. So about 2 days later, we were staying with my mom's brother, and that's when we got the call that they found my mom's body dumped on the side of the road and bayou, that she was stabbed 18 times and naked and just left there to die. And so, at 16, hearing that, I just felt even more hopeless, even more angrier, and it was just hard to process all of that, and now my brothers and I had no idea what was going to happen to us. Of course, my dad was in prison, and so my mom's brother and his wife asked us if we would like to stay with them and that they wanted to adopt us. And just hearing that was a miracle. We hardly knew them. Our dad didn't allow us to see friends or family. We were really sheltered and controlled in that home. So being adopted by a family we hardly knew, that, and knowing that they wanted to take care of us when they didn't have to, it really just was unbelievable. I always felt like I was a burden living with my mom and dad, and that life would just be so much easier if I wasn't there. But that's when God really started to soften my heart and show me that He loved me and that He was there and that He cared for me. So my aunt and uncle adopted us, and just living with them, it was completely opposite of the home that I grew up in. I can remember my uncle would wake us up in the morning and make pancakes, and he would dance to Ice Ice Baby, if you know him. That's definitely something he would do. And my brothers and I would look at each other and we're like, what is going on in here? Like, there's love and laughter and joy, and it was crazy. But it was such a breath of fresh air, being able to be like a child and sleep at night and not have all these burdens on my shoulders. And even, being adopted by what felt like a perfect family to me was still not enough. I still had these questions and this anger and hate, for my father inside of me, and I still didn't know, why was I here, what my purpose was, and that's when God really started to answer those questions for me and work in my heart. My aunt and uncle brought us to church at Victory of Homa, and just listening to the gospel and hearing that, it was God that created me. It was God that sent His Son to die for me, and that I have sins too. And that I didn't have to depend on myself for salvation, and that I could depend on Christ, and that Jesus took the penalty of death that I deserved, and that my sins could be forgiven, and that I could go to heaven and have a relationship with Him. Hearing all of that just broke me down, and I accepted Christ into my life and allowed Him to be the one who I get my joy from, and be the one that I get peace from, and know that my purpose is in Him. And I can rely on Christ instead of me. So it's just unbelievable, all that God's done in my life these past 10 years, surrounding me with family to teach me about Him and to love on me and support me and take care of me when I felt like I had no one to do that. So now I've been able to forgive my father for all the things that he's done, because I know that takes away the bitterness and the anger and the hatred. I'm able to let that go and not hold that in my heart, and that I can forgive only because Christ forgives me for my sins. And I'm able to live with peace and with joy and have a wonderful husband that takes care of me and cherishes me and loves me and would lay down his life for me just like Christ does for the church. And that the hope that we have of raising our family in God's love and teaching them about Christ and being able to break the cycle of broken family home for them is just incredible. I never imagined that this would be my life 10 years ago. So now I know that I don't have to rely on myself, and that I can rely on Christ and His salvation and God's word that gets me through dark times, and that I can find my purpose in Him, to give Him glory with my life and to help others and to serve others, and that they can have the hope that is in me. So I pray that whatever you are going through, that you would, let Christ transform your life and renew your heart and renew your mind and put your hope and trust in Him.